Hey everybody. So it's time to talk about William Nylander again because the December 1st RFA deadline is quickly approaching us here. We're only a few weeks away. Nylander is still not signed, still not traded, um, and every day that goes by is getting closer and closer to that deadline. Something has to happen here. Um, there was a report out either earlier today or yesterday that Nylander declined a David Pastrnak contract. So Pastrnak is making 6.67 million per season with the Bruins, and apparently Toronto offered the same amount of money and Nylander declined. Now Nylander's camp denies that report, but they could just be denying that report. I don't know exactly what's going on. However, it does seem like Toronto is really making it known that Nylander is on the trade market. And while I would say this, Toronto's number one hope, I think, is that a signing happens, and there are still ongoing contract negotiations between the Maple Leafs and Nylander. And I think Toronto wants him back, and I think that best case scenario for them would be to get him back. However, I think as we get closer and closer to this deadline, they're starting to understand that there is a very real possibility here that they don't come to an agreement. So they're starting to open the trade doors a little bit more here, and I believe that they've started telling teams like, "Hey, get your offers together because if it's a good enough offer, we will take it." Now, up to this point, we've known that LA and Carolina have been in advanced talks with the Maple Leafs for a Nylander deal. So those two teams, LA and Carolina, have been already in trying to get a deal worked out for Nylander. That's just two teams. Now the Maple Leafs have opened the door. They've told teams, get your deals together, start sending us offers. Let us know what you're thinking here so we can start to try and negotiate something. You're going to see a lot more teams in on William Nylander now than just Carolina and LA. I believe that the trade doors are fully opened now, and you're going to see a large number of teams, some more seriously than others, at least poke their head in the door and say, hey, what's going on? Could we maybe get something together? There are certainly teams that I think would be interested in Nylander, but cap-wise won't be able to do it. There are other teams I think that are very capable of doing it. So I think the next couple of weeks here are going to be very interesting and fun to watch. And I do think something is going to happen before December 1st. William Nylander is not going to sit out this entire season, I don't think. I really don't see that happening. I think he either comes to some sort of an agreement with Toronto and he gets in there and plays the second half of the season, or Toronto is going to move him. If they cannot come to an agreement by December 1st, Toronto is going to move him because they are going to get a very good return in return for a young star player like William Nylander. And quite honestly, if I'm Toronto, I'm not that upset about moving him, especially if I get a good return. If I can get a solid top four defenseman in a first or second round pick in return, then I'm not upset about moving Nylander because Toronto is off to a great start without him. They're scoring a ton of goals without him. Offense is not a problem for the Maple Leafs. Offense is not the issue, so losing Nylander doesn't hurt the team all that badly. He's gonna have a very high cap hit on a team that's already somewhat in cap trouble and gonna have a lot of young players they need to re-sign. They can't re-sign all of them. Somebody's gonna go. Why not get a haul in return for Nylander? And they need defense, and they can use Nylander as a trade guy to get defense in return. So I don't know what the market's looking at. I would think you'd at least be able to get a solid player and a first-round draft pick for Nylander, but maybe even more than that. But I don't know exactly what teams are offering at this point. But I do expect something to happen before the December 1st trade deadline. And honestly, for I thought he was going to re-sign for most of this entire saga that's gone on. I've always leaned towards like at least 70-30 in favor of Nylander re-signing with Toronto. I'd say it's probably 60-40 now, with trade being the more likely thing that happens. I would say there's probably only about a 40% chance that the Maple Leafs re-sign Nylander, and I'd say there's probably a 60% chance he gets moved. And if he's going to get moved, it's going to happen soon, because obviously nobody's going to trade for him, and and then have him not be able to play. So he's going to get traded and then immediately sign, and that will be what happens. I don't know where he's going to go. I think you're going to see a lot of teams involved in this. I don't know how many will make legitimate offers and how many are just kind of scoping out, seeing what's going on. But I would definitely think that Toronto's going to get a solid number of legitimate offers for this kid, and they'll probably take one and move him, get a good return for a player like William Nylander, and then move on with their season and not have to deal with this anymore. I still think Toronto wants to re-sign him, but I think as each day that goes by, that gets less and less likely as the deadline approaches. And they're coming to the realization that they have to do something. So if he's not going to sign in Toronto for a number that they can afford, they're going to move him. So this will be the last William Nylander video until something happens, because I'm not going to just keep doing rumor videos day after day as more stuff pops up on Twitter and stuff. But I think this was a pretty large development in report here, that he's turned down a Pastrnak offer, and I think we're getting to the point now where a trade is more likely to happen than a signing. So that's all I've got on Nylander for right now. I'll obviously do a video when something does happen, if he signs, if he gets traded, or if the deadline just passes, I will do a video at that point. But for right now, this is it. This is all I've got on Nylander. I expect a trade to happen more likely than a signing, but I do think that a signing is certainly still possible. So that's what I've got on Willie Nylander. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. Check out offthewallhockey.com. All those links are down in the description below. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. If you'd like to further support Off the Wall Hockey, the link to our Patreon page is also in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.